Hey and welcome to Vanguard Tactics as we take a look at the brand new 10th edition Space Marine Codex. This is going to be mine and Michael's full overview, so welcome to Vanguard Tactics, and it is our mission to help you play, progress, perform at this awesome game of Warhammer 40k. Now, a massive thank you to Games Workshop for sending us this preview copy, and in this video, myself and Michael, we're going to be going over some of our top picks. We're going to be looking at all the different detachments, a bit of a brief overview of what you can kind of expect, the flavour of those different detachments that are in here, but most importantly, a bit of a unit spotlight, right?
Yeah, exactly right.
Now, the other thing that we're going to be doing in the future videos, like we did with the Tyranids Codex review, is that we're going to actually have a detachment focus. So we're going to look at a particular army list that we think is going to be really strong with that detachment, and then we're going to go into all the different synergies in combos. So we're going to leave some of that more deeper analysis for those detachment videos. So in this one, it's going to be a much more brief overview around the units. And coming soon, we're also going to be running the Vanguard Tactics Space Marine Masterclass. So if you really want to find out which detachment, units and combos are going to be best for your favourite chapter, whether you play Space Wolves, Blood Angels, Dark Angels, Ultramarines, Imperial Fists, we're going to give you the highs and lows of all the different detachments and our best picks to help you understand the best way forward. And that's all going to be coming up in the Space Marine Masterclass, and the links to that course is going to be in the description below. So Michael, where are we going to start with this one? What should we cover in the Codex first?
Well, obviously we need to go through the Crusade rules, Steve. Obviously we need to go through the Army rule first, Steve. So that's what you're just going to get for being a Space Marine.
Yes. Now, there is Crusade in here along with Combat Patrol, but this is not the channel for Crusade, and it's not that we have anything against Crusade, it's just that it's not our specialism, and to be honest, I wouldn't know where to start with it either.
Same.
So, but if you are looking to get playing, then obviously start with the Combat Patrol. I've actually played a couple of games of Combat Patrol with Play on Tabletop. It was awesome. It was good fun just to get started. So again, it is one of those things. It's a nice little place, and all the information you're going to need is in this book. But the Army rule. Oath of Moment.
Oath of Moment.
This has had a significant change.
It has, yes.
Oath of Moment now, it's just reroll hit rolls.
No reroll wounds anymore.
No reroll wounds.
Ooh. Okay.
So how this works is that at the start of the command phase, I'm going to pick an enemy unit, and all of my units that have the Oath of Moment keyword can reroll a hit roll against that target.
Yeah, so that's really powerful. So you can pick that one unit, and the Ballistic Skill of Space Marines is a 3-up. So actually, like 2/3 of the time, 66% of the time, you're going to be hitting them. Now with the rerolls, you're massively increasing your efficiency.
Well, yeah, because you can pick up anything that's not a 1 or a 2 and re-roll it. There are also ways which sometimes you might want to pick up 4s and sometimes 5s.
Okay.
And re-roll those too, especially if you're looking for critical hits. Okay, which can, you know, lead to some very powerful combos, as we're going to talk about later on. So it is a strong rule.
Yes.
It's just not as strong as it was when it came out with the Index.
No.
And we're going to see, hopefully, if the rest of the book can compensate for that loss.
I'm sure it can.
I'm sure it can as well.
Yeah.
Now, there's lots of other ways that we can wound targets. And that's going to be one thing that we're going to really focus on when we get to our masterclass, is how do we actually help those armies that relies on the reroll wounds to circumnavigate that.
Yes.
And it might be through finding other ways for reroll wounds. It might be using the term lethal.
Yes.
Every time you roll a critical hit, then obviously on a 6 to hit, a wound is automatically scored. Or potentially finding guns that are twin linked.
Yeah.
Or unit abilities that have reroll wounds already built in.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. I actually do like this change because I felt like with 10th edition you had those anti-vehicle weapons, those anti-infantry weapons, but with Oath of Moment and the reroll wounds, it felt like you had guns that could just do everything.
Yeah.
Which was not really the purpose of, you know, the changes in 10th edition. So this is nice. We might see more varied lists, not only because of the detachments, but because of how we want to use our units against specific targets.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I completely agree with that. So there are, when it comes to detachments, 7 different detachments.
7?
So quite a lot. Now, long are the days gone since we had things like an Imperial Fist detachment, and Iron Hands, all those classics that we know and love are gone, and they've been replaced with a more looser terminology.
Yes.
But they still give a really good hint as to what faction would play well.
Yeah.
But on the masterclass, we've took that one step further, and not just the ones that you think are going to play well. We've actually looked at, in the masterclass, a player's typical collection for that type of chapter that we know you're going to love. We also look at some of the unit rules and character, those specific ones that are dedicated to your chapter, and then also a play style. And we've then found the synergies to help you, with a couple of hot takes from us, to really help you pick the right detachment for your army, to really lean into a playstyle you're going to know and love. So the 7 different detachments, Michael, we've got the Gladius Task Force.
Okay, yes.
We've got the Anvil Detachment.
Yes.
We've also got the Ironstorm. We've got the Firestorm. We've got the Stormlance. We've got the Vanguard Detachment, and also the First Company.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at each of these. But before we continue, I'd like to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, The Outpost. If you're looking for great deals on your miniatures, paints and gaming supplies, we've got you covered. Their wide variety of exceptional service makes them the go-to destination for all hobby needs. So don't wait, check out The Outpost today. Link in the description below. So the first one is the Gladius Task Force. This is something that you're going to be very familiar with if you've already played the Index of Space Marines. Now, the Gladius Task Force, they get a detachment rule. Michael, what is it?
They get combat doctrines, okay? So once per battle, you can, at the start of your command phase, pick one of the 3 doctrines. You can pick Tactical Doctrine, which is fall back and charge and shoot. You can pick Assault Doctrine, which is advance and charge. And you can pick Devastator Doctrine, which is advance and shoot. So you could, at any point in the game, in your command phase, go, okay, I want my whole army to advance and shoot, or I want to be able to fall back and charge and shoot, etc., etc. So you've got that flexibility over the course of the game, but it is once per game for those doctrines.
And also the stratagems were very much geared around giving you a really good degree of flexibility.
Yes.
There were some that helped you in the combat phase, some that helped you in the shooting phase, and they kind of had an additional bonus if you're in the correct doctrine.
Yeah.
There were stratagems to change the doctrines. So it was very much a very tactical, flexible detachment. And I think that's kind of the baseline where we can then start to compare the other detachments from.
Absolutely. This still remains like your most sort of versatile detachment. You could run a whole host of different units and they'd still be good in this detachment. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the baseline.
Yeah.
The litmus test.
Yeah.
Are the other detachments better than this one? Because they have a lot to live up to.
Yes.
So now I've got a bit of an overview of Gladius Task Force. Michael, what is the best enhancement from the detachment, in your opinion?
So in the Codex, it's called Fire Discipline. If you played the Index version, it was called Bolt Discipline.
Yeah.
This one is going to give you Sustained 1. Okay, so you put this on a character and the squad they're leading gets exploding 6s. So Sustained 1, all those critical hits are now an additional hit.
Yeah.
In addition, if they're in the Devastator Doctrine, they get it on critical hits of 5s.
Right.
Okay, so you're going to get an additional hit on 5s.
That's good.
That's super strong.
Combining that with the Oath of Moment, where you can then pick up your 1s, your 2s, your 3s, and your 4s, and just what we call fish for more 5s and 6s. Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah.
Okay, what is the best stratagem?
Best stratagem, Steve, is Storm of Fire.
And what does that do?
Okay, so this one gives your unit ignores cover with their range weapons.
Okay.
And if the Devastator Doctrine is active, you get an extra AP on all of those shots as well.
Right, I'm seeing a synergy here.
It's pretty nasty.
This with the enhancement, critical hits on 5s and 6s for sustained, ignoring cover, and also,
Look, if you've been playing Space Marines, you've been doing this already.
Yeah.
This still remains, obviously, the sort of the best combo in the Gladius Task Force.
Yeah.
So if you're running the Gladius Task Force, you're still going to look at this.
And what unit would you pick for this detachment as the standout unit?
Well, we've seen them a lot recently. Aggressors are fantastic for this. You've got dual purpose with them. They can do melee as well. And I think it's important to note that actually their weapon skills 3+ now.
It's got a lot better in this codex.
It's got a lot better in this codex.
Yeah.
So now they hit harder in combat and they still do just as much damage as the Index version. So them with like a Biologus attached, which now gives them lethal hits as well, means that each of their 5s to hit is a sustained hit, so an additional hit and a lethal hit.
Yeah.
Okay, so this has been very powerful in tournaments that we've been seeing as well. If you're not familiar, this combo is still very strong.
if you're taking Gladius Task Force, the first character you put in is a Biologus, and then the second unit you put in is a 6-man team of Bolt Storm Aggressors.
Yes.
You put the enhancement Fire Discipline on your Biologus. That is what you do.
Yes.
There is no question about it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
It's great, folks.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. So that is your top combo, and yeah, an absolute auto include for the list. So Michael, let's take a look at the Anvil detachment next.
Okay.
This is your Imperial Fist detachment.
Yes. Yeah. So it's kind of like your heavy weapons, your siege stuff, and their army rule reflects this. So all your ranged weapons gain a heavy keyword.
Okay.
Okay. So if you remain stationary, you get +1 to your hit rolls.
Okay, cool.
Pretty nice. And if your weapon already had heavy,
Yeah.
then you actually get +1 to your wound rolls if you remain stationary.
Right. Okay, cool. So one of the biggest drawbacks here is it's gonna feel like maybe the army's quite slow because obviously you can't really we can't move so much if you want to get the benefits.
Exactly.
And you often want to be moving onto objectives and things to
Yeah.
get the benefits of, taking, different objectives off your opponent, scoring tactical cards, you name it, you want to be moving. So
Yeah.
this seems a little bit counterintuitive, but I think there are some, pretty cool combos in here.
Yeah.
And there's definitely some units that are really going to leverage this the most. So from this detachment then, like we said, it is your long-ranged firepower.
Yeah.
The units that are really durable, they can stand out in the open, and ultimately they can take a couple of losses.
Yeah.
They can take a few hits because they need to remain stationary and fire back. So they need to have better range than their opponent and be more durable than your opponent's long-range guns.
Yeah.
So if you can take an army of those units, you're going to do pretty well.
Yeah, exactly. The first turn for this army is basically going to be getting into position.
Yeah.
And then turn 2 to 5, you're in position, you've got your firing lane set up, you shoot away with all your buffs.
Yeah. And then maybe a couple of little combat units
Yeah.
or some mission playing units like some scouts. Go and grab some objectives for you.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay, so Michael, what is the best enhancement, do we think, for the Anvil detachment?
Okay, so to be honest, this was a difficult decision because they're not like standouts.
Yeah.
But we've gone for Stoic Defender.
And what does that do?
So that gives the unit that the bearer is leading 6+ Feel No Pain.
Okay.
In addition to that, if the unit's battle shocked, instead of being OC 0, their OC is halved.
Okay, so if your normal OC is like 10, it now counts as 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah, and if you're OC 1, then obviously it'll just round up to 1 again.
Yeah.
So if you've got like just your normal squad on there, that means you're never going to be losing control of an objective marker
Yeah.
when you really don't want to.
Yes.
And obviously it keeps the unit alive,
Yeah.
so they can stand in that firing lane and keep shooting.
Yeah, that's very good. Yeah. It's a nice little enhancement. The 6+ Feel No Pain gives you like an 18% extra survivability. What's not to like about that? Especially if that's going on a multi-wound unit, like heavy intercessors or aggressors or eradicators or something like that.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And then what is the best stratagem, do we think?
Okay, cool. So there is an honourable mention here, as we'll come to the units, but we've gone for Rigid Discipline.
Okay.
This is really cool. It's very different to what we've seen in any other sort of detachment. And at the end of the fight phase, so it could be yours or your opponent's, one of your units, infantry, can fall back.
Right.
So you can make a normal fallback move.
At the end of the fight phase.
End of the fight phase.
So what this means is your opponent cannot just throw loads and loads of bodies at you
No.
to what we call tar pit you, where you just don't have enough attacks to punch your way out of that enemy unit, and it keeps either a really valuable combat unit in combat with a rubbishy unit,
Yes.
or maybe in combat with a unit it just can't kill, like a rhino or something. Maybe it's born to kill lots of little models,
Yeah.
and they've just thrown an orc truck at you, and they're like, cool, you're gonna have to chew through that for a couple of turns.
Yeah.
It stops that, which is really good. Or it means if you charge, if it's in your turn and you fight and maybe you don't quite kill your opponent, you can step back and then, for example, set up an Overwatch.
Yeah, exactly. You could charge in to kill maybe a little unit with your Flamer Infernus Marines, potentially.
Yeah.
And then step backwards, and now you've got your Flamers ready to Overwatch the rest of the unit that perhaps you didn't kill.
Yeah.
So that's absolutely fantastic. And again, something like, like our aggressors or anything like that, they charge in, they can fall back at the end of your opponent's fight phase.
Yeah.
And then in your turn, they're ready to shoot and charge.
Yeah.
So I think it's an outstanding stratagem.
Yeah, I think it's really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Okay, so what is the sort of unit that we can expect to see a lot of in this detachment? Or what's a unit that's going to work well?
So obviously, if you're going to remain stationary, then a unit that doesn't need to move to be able to shoot people,
Yes.
also known as an indirect fire unit.
Yes, and can you think of one of those?
Yeah, there's Desolation Marines, Steve.
Ah, funny those, yeah.
Desolation Marines. Now, the Codex does say that you can take 10 in a squad, okay, but as per the balanced data slate, it is limited to 5.
Yeah.
And we recommend you play it that way as well. Now, these guys, their indirect fire weapons don't have heavy.
No.
So now we're gaining heavy on those.
Right, but they have an ability that allows them to ignore the detriments
Yes.
of firing indirectly. So normally when you fire indirect, you're -1 to hit.
Yeah.
This would have been great anyway, because it would have put us back on 3s. But because their inbuilt ability ignores the -1 to hit,
Yes.
and you gain a +1 to hit, all your indirect is hitting on 2s.
Wow.
And they've got one really, really good indirect profile, and they actually then have a heavy variant as well that they can fire.
Yeah.
And if they are, outranging their opponent and they can see, they'll get +1 to hit and +1 to wound.
Yeah.
And there is a stratagem that works really well with this unit, isn't there?
There is, yeah. So it's called Battle Drill Recall.
Yeah.
And what this is, it gives you sustained.
Okay.
But if your unit remains stationary,
Like these guys are going to be
like
doing.
these guys are going to be doing all game, you get critical hits on 5s.
I feel like we've already spoke about that combo. Yeah. It's like it's repeated.
Yeah.
Just on a different unit.
It turns out critical hits on 5s is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you can get sustained and lethal and stuff.
Okay, so next up is the Iron Storm detachment.
Mm.
Your classic Iron Hands.
Yeah, yeah. If you want to take vehicles,
Yes.
this is probably the detachment for you. And every Space Marine chapter has a host of vehicles in their armory. So don't be put off by this being the Iron Hands detachment.
Yeah.
You could be a Blood Angel and run this if you really
Or a
want.
Black Templar player.
Or a Black Templar player
Yeah.
to run this. So this is your sort of your go-to if you're running lots of vehicles.
And the reason for that is a lot of their stratagems will trigger 4 vehicles. They get extra benefits if they're vehicles. And there's also a lot of the enhancements that affect Tech Marines, which also are there to benefit vehicles. So what is their army rule, Michael?
Right, their army rule allows them once per phase
Yeah.
to re-roll a hit roll, a wound roll, or a damage roll.
Or a damage roll.
Or a damage
So it's not one of each 3.
No.
Unfortunately, you've got to pick and choose when you use it.
Yeah.
Now, this works really, really well on either variable damage units, so like las cannons, hunter killer missiles, multi-melters, but it also works very, very well on units with a limited number of shots.
Yes.
Because if you can re-roll, let's say, 50% of your shots, because maybe you're only getting 2 shots normally, and you can re-roll a hit roll, that's pretty effective. Whereas if you're normally rolling 100 shots and you get to re-roll 1, well, re-rolling 1% of your shots isn't quite as effective as re-rolling 50%.
No.
So we need to think of it in those in those terms. So straight away, we're looking at things like your Land Raiders, like your Gladiator Lancer that can already re-roll a hit roll.
Yep.
Now it can re-roll a second hit roll potentially,
Yeah.
which means you don't need to then rely on Oath of Moment. You've got 2 different ways of getting re-rolls hits.
Yeah.
The Ballistus Dreadnought already re-rolls its hit rolls. You can then just re-roll a wound roll or a damage roll from a las cannon. So there's some really strong synergies here.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's some infantry units as well that will benefit from this. But when we're looking at like those numbers of shots, like the aggressors aren't perhaps going to do as well from this rule in this detachment.
Or maybe you've got a really powerful character that you just want to hit hard. And, just getting an extra hit through or wound through can be really, devastating, especially if it's got devastating wounds. Then, yeah, again, it's a nice little powerful combo. So, Michael, what is, in your opinion, the best enhancement? Now, this was tough because they got some real corkers in this
They
detachment.
absolutely do. So this one is Target Augury Web.
Right, and what does this do?
Okay. This one allows all of your vehicles within 6 inches to get lethal hits.
And this can only be put on a Tech Marine.
Yeah.
Okay, now, lethal hits aura for vehicles is strong. It's expensive, this enhancement. It's one of the most expensive out there, but it is very, very strong. There was another one which is very strong as well.
Yeah.
It allows you to, within a certain radius of a Tech Marine, I can say, hey, that damage that you've just inflicted, because I've just failed a save, I don't like it, I'm not having it.
Yeah.
Once per turn, which is really strong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, what is the best stratagem?
Okay. So obviously Armor of Contempt.
Armor and Contempt is good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Mercy is weakness.
Armor and Contempt, by the way, is in every detachment.
Yes.
It's one of your 6
And
in
it's
every one.
Obviously very good.
It
so.
is good. Yeah. Can't
No
go wrong.
complaints here.
You can't go wrong.
Mercy is weakness.
And what does Mercy's weakness do?
Okay, so when you're targeting an enemy unit that's below starting strength,
Yeah.
right, and that's super easy to trigger,
So kill a model of a unit or take a wound off a vehicle or monster.
guess what? You got a grenade.
You do.
Easily done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fire a single bolter or get a cheeky, devastating wound through with a combi weapon.
Yeah.
Fire your tech marines actually first, and then maybe we'll get a wound or something.
Light them up.
Yeah. You get sustained hits 1.
Right. That's okay.
Pretty good.
all right.
If you're a vehicle, though,
Yeah.
you get critical hits on 5s.
That old chestnut again.
Yeah, it's pretty good, isn't it? So you can have your sustained hits 1
Yeah.
and your lethal hits in that aura on 5s.
And then because you've got over moment, re-roll everything.
Yeah.
So the other combo that we spoke about in the other detachments, we're talking about it again, Michael.
Yeah.
But now it's
pretty
vehicles.
good. Yeah, it's on vehicles.
It's gone from aggressors to Desolation Marines to now vehicles.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
scary now.
I do like it now.
Scary.
Yeah. Now, there is another really cool stratagem in this book where if you shoot me, Michael,
Yes.
and you get me below half strength,
Okay.
I can shoot you back, which I kind of like too. That's a cool stratagem.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And all the stratagems in this codex do really feel different and flavorful. Okay, so next up, we got to talk about what's a unit that's going to be really, really strong with this book.
Okay, so obviously we're going to pick a vehicle,
Yeah.
and I think a vehicle with as many guns as we could put on it. I don't know if you've ever seen that photo of when the Repulsor first came out and someone had just photoshopped like 1,000,000 guns on it.
Sure.
So the Repulsor Executioner is my top pick here. It's got so many guns.
It's got a really strong lance. It's got
Really
heavy bolters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What I really like here is it's got that 2-shot weapon that you're probably going to use that reroll on
Yeah.
for your army rule, right? Your detachment rule. And then it's got all of those other weapons that are going to really benefit from sustained and lethal because you've got loads of shots.
Yeah.
So I think that's a fantastic unit.
Yeah. I think that's really good. I love the Land Raider.
Yeah.
Just because it's also doing another job for me, which is transporting a lot of models.
Yeah.
But I think the Lancer's great.
Yeah.
The Reaper,
Yeah.
because the Gladiator Reaper, now it already has sustained against infantry. Now you can just chuck on a little bit of lethal as well. It means you don't need to spend the CP on the stratagem.
Also,
It's very good.
devastating wounds against infantry and twin linked.
That's good.
So you get all those exploding 5s and you get to reroll the wounds. That's some spiciness there.
That is, yeah. So look, any of those units, top notch for this detachment.
I will also mention that the Mercy's weakness is a battle tactic.
Right.
And if you do have Mr. Gilliman in your army, you could actually do it on 2 vehicles.
You could do it twice.
Yeah.
You could do it on both. Yeah. I've got to. We'll make that happen. Yeah. Okay, next up is the Firestorm detachment. Now, this is your essentially salamanders.
Yeah.
So we're looking at close range firepower units.
Yes.
Units that don't mind a bit of a fight in combat, but they want to get nice, close, and personal to you. Maybe they're going to be utilizing some torrent or flamer weapons.
Yep.
And we're really looking to push our strength 4 weapons to strength 5 because this is exactly what our detachment rule does, right?
Exactly. So all our range weapons get assault.
Yeah.
So that helps us get close with those short range weapons. And then in addition, when we're firing at a unit that's within 12 inches, we get +1 to our strength characteristic on those weapons.
Yep, so that's great. When you're strength 4, you got the strength 5, because now when you're wounding back on those infantry units at strength 4, you're wounding on 3s, not 4s. It's really good on strength 5 units, because then you go up to strength 6, which is then means that when you're shooting elves and toughness 3 units.
Hello, Infernus Marines.
Yes, you're wounding on 2s, which is again very, very strong. And also then helps at the top end as well.
Yes.
You know, when you're, for example, you've got like a strength 9 gun, all of a sudden getting to that strength 10 is another nice little sweet spot.
My God, melters could be good. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Sisters players crying their hearts out.
Yeah. All of a sudden, you become quite powerful. Okay, so what is the best enhancement?
Okay, this is Champion of Humanity.
And what does it do?
What it does is it allows the bearer's unit to ignore modifiers, their characteristics, and any roll or test made for them, except saving throws.
That's really good.
That's incredibly strong, so you can avoid like your movement penalties, hit roll penalties, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Really good, especially for an army that's kind of getting up close and personal.
Yeah.
You don't want to be hit by something that reduces your movement, potentially your advance as well, because it's going to stop you getting the most out of your army, your detachment rule. So fantastic enhancement. Yeah, really like that one.
Nice.
Oh, it is Tacticus only, though.
Okay.
So you've got to have that Tacticus keyword.
Okay, cool. What is the best stratagem then?
Oh, the best stratagem. There's too many for me because I love this detachment, but I think Crucible of Battle is like your all-round just great all the time. And what this lets you do is in the shooting and fight phase.
So both phases of the game.
Both phases, 1 CP. It's a battle tactic as well. If you target the closest eligible unit within 6 inches, you get +1 to wound.
That's very strong.
Jump out of a vehicle, shoot something, +1 to wound. Then charge, +1 to wound. Incredible.
That's really good, yeah.
Incredible. And it really helps with the second part of the Oath of Moment being gone.
Yes.
Because now you're re-rolling your hits, but actually +1 to wound kind of is, in some ways, better than re-roll wounds in some cases. So,
yeah,
really good, really good.
Yeah, I think it's a very strong ability.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What sort of units could we expect to see them with this attachment? You've already mentioned one unit.
I have already mentioned the Infernus Marines.
Yeah.
These are great because obviously their range is only 12.
Yeah.
And now that they can advance all around the board and keep shooting, get that strength a bit higher as well. One thing that's really important to mention about this detachment is actually there's 3, I think, transport, 4, in fact, stratagems that affect transports.
Okay.
And units that jump out of them. So if you're looking for like a dynamic transport-heavy army, you know, maybe your White Scars, and actually you have that theme and those models at home.
Like impulsors and stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. This is a detachment for you. So transports are very good, and I really like the Repulsor. So there's several stratagems to manipulate getting in and out of vehicles. The Repulsor has its own ability, where if you try and charge a unit that's within 3 inches, hold it within 3, they can immediately embark, and the charging unit can select a different target to charge.
Right, so if you've got your squishy little Infernus Marines out, or maybe a Blade Guard unit that you don't want charged because you want it to be charging, just jump back in. That's really good.
Cool, and then charge next turn.
That's
the
really
thing
good.
that tried to charge you.
That's really good.
It's really strong.
Really nice little counter to combat units.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds awesome. Next up, then we've got the Stormlance detachment. This is your typical kind of like White Scars. And the reason why is because most of these detachments, or the rules in this detachment, are geared around mounted units. Okay, so one thing, first of all, is that although Outriders are okay, and they are the only mounted unit in the book, because obviously the poor Scout on bike is now gone, the regular Space Marine on bike is now gone, there are still some other mounted units available to Space Marine players. One of those is the Thunderwolf Cavalry.
Oof.
And the other is obviously the Ravenwing Black Knights. So with this detachment, you can expect there to be a lot of mounted units. Or any combat unit, really, is going to work really well with this one. And the reason why is because their army-wide rule is that their units can advance and charge.
Okay, yeah. And fall back and charge too.
Yeah.
So once you're stuck in,
you can get out and get back in.
Get back in. That's great. That is all you could want, right? Because if you've been playing the Gladius Task Force, and you've been waiting on that doctrine that you only get once per game, now you get it all the time, Assault Doctrine and Tactical sort of combined.
You do.
Yeah, really good.
So if you're a combat army, this is a great place to start. Sprinkle in some mounted units, you're just going to get a little bit extra benefit.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did we think was the best enhancement for this detachment?
Okay, Fainting Withdrawal.
What does that do?
So what this does is it lets you shoot after you've fallen back.
Right, so this also is different to the others because this can be taken on any unit, not just a mounted unit.
Yes, yeah. So this is great because it means any of your other units that do shooting and combat, I mean, even your Outriders, right? So the Chaplain gives you that kind of devastating wounds ability.
Yeah.
So you can fall back, shoot something, charge back into something else. It's super useful enhancement.
Yeah, or, if you do want to take some Hellblasters and you don't want somebody just to tag you in combat, where you then can't do anything, you now can fall back and shoot.
Yeah.
So if you've got like a really strong combat army and then this one unit that is like your Achilles heel, if it gets touched, then now you're like, cool, got a little solution for that problem.
Perfect.
Great. What did we think was the best stratagem?
Oh, it's an interesting one. I really like one. So there's one, and this is an honourable mention, which allows your mounted or like fly vehicle to be -1 to wound,
Yeah.
which I think is super strong, and it's a battle tactic.
Yeah.
So Thunderwolves players, have a look at that one. But I think we've chosen to look at wind. It's wind something.
Yeah. Wind and swift evasion.
Wind and swift evasion. That one.
Yeah.
And what this lets you do is once your opponent's ended a normal move, so it's in their movement phase, a normal move, advance, fallback, within 9 inches of you, you can just move 6 inches. A normal move of 6 inches.
Yeah.
Okay, now
We saw this in the Gladius Task Force, but you had to be in Tactical Doctrine because
Yeah.
otherwise it was just a D6.
yeah,
This is just flat 6 all the time. This is crazy good because now all of a sudden maybe I've got a lone operative character
Yep.
or unit and you get within a certain range of me. I'm like, cool, moving 6 inches back. Now I'm outside of 12. Now you can't shoot me. Or maybe I moved out, killed you in combat, and I'm kind of near some terrain. You get close to shoot me, I jump back in my ruin.
very good. And on an even more advanced level, maybe someone's declared 2 of your units as targets of a charge, and you decide to move one of them, or you know that they're going to declare 2 of your units. You decide to win swift evasion and put 1 right in front of them.
Yeah,
Now you've denied them a charge later in the turn.
yeah.
Yeah.
And for more awesome tips like that, you can check out our academy.
And masterclass.
Of course. Okay, now, again, it's a very powerful one.
It
So
is, yeah.
what units do we think are going to work really, really well with this attachment?
So the Outriders and Chaplain combo.
Yeah,
So the Chaplain on bike is the only mounted character, I think, in the Space Marine book.
yeah,
Stick him in an Outrider squad, and you have a fantastic unit, very versatile in this detachment.
and it's also come down in points since the original release of the Index as well.
Yeah.
So the points are now less. 6-man strong, Outriders with an ATV, and the ATV is really, really good just to manipulate wounds. In damage coming in, you can really soak up a lot of damage on the ATV before it then gets spilled over to the, ironically, more valuable units if you're looking for the pure combat aspect.
Yeah.
But yeah, also Thunderwolf Cavalry,
Oh, they're so good in this.
they're so good. Black Knights,
Yeah.
because they got some really, really good combo with the other land speeders that they're going to be
Yes.
taken in this detachment.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's going to give you a really good indication of maybe which way you would take this army.
Yeah.
Let's take a moment to appreciate Colourforge, our fantastic sponsor. Their range of spray paints has become our go-to for making our miniatures come to life quickly and efficiently. The quality and variety of colours they offer are truly unmatched, providing a smooth application for stunning effects every time. Check out Colourforge for your next hobby project.
Okay, next up we've got the Vanguard attachment.
I mean, it's named after us.
It
There's
is.
going to be some tactics in there.
There is.
Yeah.
It's a great name. Really, really good name. So the Vanguard attachment, we should probably play this one, shouldn't we?
We probably should at some point, yeah.
Yeah, we probably
Yeah.
should. So Michael, what is the Vanguard like? This is our equivalent of like Raven Guard. Quite sneaky, quite stealthy.
Yeah.
So typically we've seen like Phobos units, scout units, jump pack units with this kind of
Yeah.
build. I mean, in one edition of the game, I think it was an 8th edition we saw, I think it was something like 18 Centurions.
Good God, I played that as well. Yeah, I played against that.
They're not coming back with this detachment, I don't think.
I don't think
But what is the detachment rule?
Okay, so when you're shooting at a unit that is in this detachment, if you're over 12 inches away,
Yeah.
that unit's going to have the benefits of cover, and they're going to be -1 to your hit rolls.
Right. So it's like I've constantly popped smoke.
Yeah, basically. Yeah,
Okay, that's really good.
but incredibly good. And if you're facing someone that has a plus to their hit roll, you could actually pop smoke too, and they'd be -2 to hit because you get stealth.
Yeah.
So it's very good, very survivable on your units.
It's amazing with the 2 Obama Save unit.
Amazing. The thing is about this detachment rule, it affects everything.
Yeah, your vehicles.
Everything.
Yeah. Because sometimes it can be difficult to get your vehicles to have cover.
Yeah.
But now it's super simple.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very strong rule. And it really helps on that sort of survivability of the army.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do we think is the best enhancement?
Well, I don't think it was difficult, was it? I mean, they've got some crackers.
They've got a
But
Vect.
They have a Vect, so they can make you spend more CP on your stratagems. But I think even with that, there was a hands down winner.
It's like they've got this super good one.
Yeah.
And then this other one just comes steaming in like, but we're just so much better than you.
I was here first. which it will be because it's called the Blade Driven Deep,
Yeah.
and it gives the bearer's unit Infiltrate. Adeptus Astartes infantry model. That's right, not Phobos. Adeptus Astartes infantry model.
Right.
The bearer's entire unit
Yeah.
is going to infiltrate.
Right. Yeah. You think, oh, that's not too bad. That's all right.
That's pretty cool. I'll stick that on my Phobos captain, and I'll need some Reavers,
Yeah.
and I'll put them in the middle of the board.
I'll put it on 5 intercessors with my lieutenant.
Oh, cool.
Or you could be that guy who puts it on 10 Deathwing Terminators that are -1 damage. Don't do it. Don't do that. You all have a responsibility right now, okay? If you want to maintain playing this game with friends, this is not the thing to do.
Read the war game responsibly thing at the bottom of the screen.
Nobody wants 10 Deathwing Terminators in their face turn 1. I'm just telling you that right now. Competitive or not, it's not cool. So, again, this is a very, very strong enhancement. And, yeah, I mean, I think it works super good with the likes of a little jump pack unit, you know, like your Assault Marines, get some like a nice little charge off turn 1, which they will then die. They're very...
Fine, they're just Assault Marines, right?
They got 2 wounds with a 3-up save.
It's okay.
They're not 4 wounds -1 damage, Michael, with a 2-up, okay? There's a difference here.
They're also -1 to be hit and have cover over 12 inches away.
Yeah. There's a difference, Michael, okay? Put your Deathwing
that.
around. Put them down. I see you behind there building them up already. So, again, very strong enhancement. Next up, then, what is the best stratagem?
Armour of Contempt.
It actually is. It is a very good stratagem because you combine this with cover. When I'm playing with Black Templars, I would always have this predicament. I go on second, and you shoot my Land Raider. I'm like, oh, do I pop smoke or Armour Contempt? Now I don't need to worry about popping smoke. I just Armour Contempt, and now my Land Raider is basically -2 AP for all you're concerned.
Yes.
So it's very good Armour Contempt stack with this.
Very good in this detachment.
But it's not the fanciest of stratagems that we could talk about.
No, we've got one called Guerrilla Tactics.
Yep.
And what this does is it lets you drop 2. So at the end of the fight phase, you can pick 2 Phobos or Scout units that are more than 3 inches from the enemy.
Now Scouts already get that rule.
Yeah, but this is 3 inches from the enemy. Scouts is they have to be more than 6.
Well,
okay, so you know.
What's 3 inches between friends, eh?
It's true. So you can drop those 2 off the board and they go into Strat Reserve. Or you can pick 1 Adeptus Astartes infantry unit.
Right.
And drop that off the board and put it in Strat Reserve.
So, like once my 10 Deathwing Terminators have infiltrated, moved and killed you, and you haven't quite killed them at the end of the fight phase, I can pick them back up and take them off the table.
Yeah.
And maybe bring them back on next turn.
And you can Deep Strike because it's Strat Reserves and you have Deep Strike.
That is the Deep Strike ability, which is so clutch here.
Yeah.
It's having a unit with Deep Strike, a jump pack unit, a Vanguard Veteran, a unit of Death Company, anything where you often get down on the table, you get a bit stuck, you don't really want to be there anymore, you want to be on the other side of the table.
Bam, off you go.
Yeah.
End of your opponent's turn. Next turn, back down.
You're basically like a Grey Knight.
Yep.
This is very good. We've seen it with Grey Knights and it's been very, very powerful.
Yeah.
So, Michael, aside from the Dark Angels Terminators, what other unit do we think is strong with this detachment?
So from the base Space Marine Codex, obviously normal Terminators are great with this.
Yeah.
They're absolutely fantastic. I think we've got an opportunity to see things like aggressors, etc., that are able to just get up close. Lots of those short range, but you know, 2+ armor saves, absolutely fantastic. Across the other codexes, you know, you love your Blood Angels, Sanguinary Guard, obviously, 2+ save. If they infiltrate, they're going to charge you turn 1. There's nothing you can do about it.
Nothing.
Nothing. So yeah, high armor saves. Weirdly, it's a detachment that's actually quite good for shooting.
Yeah.
Because you're always going to win that battle of attrition. You've got cover. You've got -1 to hit.
There's stratagems that allow you to get better ballistic skill when you're shooting at a longer distance. There's ways to give your characters lone operative as well.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the Reavers. The irony actually is that this army can be very, very tricksy.
Yeah.
You can infiltrate a unit, and if you have the scout keyword on all of your units or all of the models in your unit, you can then infiltrate, then scout move. That's very powerful. So, and if you've got the old... Anyway, we're getting into too much depth there. We're going to save that for the review in the masterclass. But there are some really cool combos that we can't wait to get our teeth stuck into.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up is the last one is the first company detachment.
Cool. This is the elites. This is the first company of a Space Marine chapter, should be its Terminators, its veterans, and that's exactly what this detachment is.
Okay, so what rule do they get?
These guys, they get once per game.
Yeah.
When you do your Oath of Moment, you can re-roll the wounds against that target.
So they basically get the old rule back.
But only once per game.
They're still strong then.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's still very
Still
strong.
Fantastic.
That turn you need to take down a big knight, that big horrible unit. You know you're going to go shoot it, combat it.
That one turn where you need to change the game in your favour.
Now's the time to use it.
Now's the time to use it.
Now, you've already given the game away with some of the units that we might see.
Yeah.
But again, what is the best enhancement? And they've got a few here.
They do. This was really tough, but we wanted to take one that's more interesting than the other ones. And this enhancement, so 2 of the enhancements can be put on Terminators, and they're fantastic.
Yeah.
This one can go on anyone, and it is called the Imperium Sword. And what it does, it gives the bearer an extra attack.
Yeah.
Okay. Once per game, the entire unit gets +1 attack.
And we really like this because it can be used on any unit.
Yeah.
It's not just Terminator. So this could be great on your Blade Guard.
Yep.
But probably even better, your Vanguard veterans.
Vanguard veterans. I've actually got a really cheeky combo I've just thought of, Steve.
Yeah.
So the Blade Guard Ancient has a once per game +1 attack ability. So you could put the enhancement on that guy, and then your Blade Guard unit of 6 could go up to 6 attacks each in one turn of the game.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, I could probably do one better, mate.
Yeah.
I've got those Sword Brethren
Oh, good God.
that can also have +1 attack or +1 damage.
Yeah.
And actually just stick another attack on them.
Yeah.
Or maybe my 20 Brick of Crusaders.
Good God.
Yes, they get 100 attacks as it is.
Don't even have to roll that out.
How would you like 120 at you? Anyway, it's pretty cool. It's pretty versatile.
Yeah.
And that's going to work with everything. That turn you need it, you've got it.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good.
Okay, so what is the best stratagem?
So the best stratagem here is a really resilient base one. So this is a -1 damage.
Yeah.
What's important to note here is that it's done in the charge phase. So after your opponent's done their charges. So you have to preemptively do it. You can't just react.
Yeah.
You have to go, okay, I know you're charging these Terminators or these Vanguard Vets.
Yeah.
I'm going to preemptively put -1 damage on them.
Yeah.
So it's obviously it's a fantastic stratagem. And what's more, Steve, it's a battle tactic.
Right.
So two captains or one captain, and you've got it twice. That's pretty good.
That's really good. Against like World Eaters, sorry, World Eaters, but you're not doing any damage today, no matter who you charge. Now, we have actually figured out a way of doing this on 4 units. 4, yes, you heard that right, 4 units.
In one turn.
In a turn.
For a total cost of 2 CP.
Yes, which you can easily get with the little concoction we've cooked up. And we'll be going over that when we come to the masterclass. But hopefully this has given you a bit of an idea of some of the things that are going to be compensating for that lack of reroll wounds in the army.
Exactly.
There's so much flavour.
Yeah.
Some of the units in the book have had a bit of a glow up, like we mentioned, the aggressors. Some of them have been a little bit more streamlined as well.
Yeah.
But what units will we see in this detachment, or what is the best unit in this detachment?
Guilliman.
It is Guilliman. Yeah.
It's Guilliman, guys. It's Guilliman.
And why is it Guilliman?
So Guilliman has the opportunity to choose between 3 different abilities, and one of those is to select a second Oath of Moment target.
Right.
Right. Now, you're not necessarily going to do this every turn, but that one turn where you get the reroll wounds, you do it. You pick 2 enemy units and you go, bam, killed one, bam, kill the other one. That's tasty. And then, of course, he also has the other ability to do a strat for a battle tactic for free.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it might be one of the 4. Pretty good.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, Terminators, Blade Guard, Calgar and Blade Guard is cool.
Yeah.
It's a very, very strong detachment.
Yeah. Dante and Vanguard Vets.
Very good.
Very good. It is a shame here that things like Sanguinary Guard don't benefit, even though they are quite obviously veterans. Sword Brethren, likewise, don't have any of those veteran keywords. And in fact, the Company Heroes, the new kit,
they don't have it.
They don't have it either.
No.
But still very cool.
Because a lot of the stratagems are locked to Terminators, Blade Guard, Vanguard vets. It doesn't say veterans, and then they could have sprinkled veteran keywords here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah.
But it might have just made it too easy and too good.
Yeah, true.
And where do you draw the line? Do you start giving it to your Black Knights? Do you start giving it to your Deathwing Knights? We've got enough of those anyway. So anyway, guys, we really, really hope you've enjoyed this review of the Codex. Now, there are many of the index units that you've already seen. Of course, some have been taken and got rid of. They've gone now into Legends. But don't fear, you can probably still use those models on the tabletop as their equivalents.
Yeah.
For example, like a lot of the Tech Marines, Apothecaries of old in their sort of regular Marine armor gone. There's no such thing as a Tech Marine and a Primaris Tech Marine anymore. There's just Tech Marine. So providing that your models are roughly on the same size base, and also roughly the same size, cool. As long as it's easy to understand what it is, still feel free to use those models. Don't exactly feel like you've got to go out and buy completely new with your firstborn army. There's, I think, a lot of nostalgia for many people. Continue to use those. If you've got normal bikes, stick them on some bigger bases, and you can call them Outriders. Nothing wrong with that. You could always make your attack bike a little bit bigger on a bigger base and have it as an ATV. There's loads of cool conversions you can do. Your Assault Marines are now just Assault Intercessor with jump packs. So all of those kind of things that you know and love, you can still use and not feel like sometimes some of your collection is no longer useful. But it does allow the army to move on. And to get some beautiful new sculpts.
It's got to, right? We've got to let it have that opportunity. I mean, if they'd kept all the book, this would have been twice the size. I think it's a good move, and we'll get there eventually. Everything will be Primaris, but you can still use all your old stuff. So. And
also a massive thank you to Games Workshop for sending us not only this codex, but also those preview models like the Captain, the Jump Pack guys, and also the Terminators. And they'll be coming on battle reports for you soon here once they're all painted. So a massive thank you to all of you, and make sure if you want to check out our masterclass series, then you can sign up for either the waiting list or you can actually buy it depending on when you find and watch this video. But all the links to our masterclass for finding out what chapter is going to be best for you and with what detachment and all the strong combos that you're going to need, that's going to be in our masterclass series, which we're going to bring out for every single codex, and all the details in the description. So Michael, thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll see you on another video. Take care.